How could you do this to me, Amelia? You cheated on me. That's why you're not in the event last night.
What are you talking about? I don't know why I woke up in this strange hotel room as well.
That's enough, Amelia. Enough with your lies. I want to divorce. Upon discovering the truth and according to our prenuptial treaty, the ownership of your company will henceforth be transferred to me.
How could you do this to me? I work hard for the company.
Enough. Sign the damn contract and get your things from my house. I don't want to see you anymore. You're such a disgrace to your family and to the company.
I know this is all a ruse on your part. Someday, you'll regret all of this.
Amelia woke up with the sound of the flashes of the camera. When she finally opened her eyes, she saw unknown people surrounding her. They were stuttering and asking the same questions. Amelia was shocked, but she managed to sit down and lean to the headboard of the bed.
What's happening?
She asked, more to herself before she covered her face with her hand. She looked around. Noticing that she was naked under the blanket, Amelia immediately hugged herself.
Get out!
She shouted at them, but the paparazzis didn't budge. For them, seeing a well-known married figure is $1 million scoop, and they have to get every details. Amelia was in total shock after realizing that she's not in her own house. Her heart started racing. The paparazzi started asking her questions about last night, but Amelia felt she became deaf. All she can think of was her husband and what exactly happened last night, because she couldn't remember it all.
Miss Cooper, what can you say about last night?
One of the reporters asked her, but instead of answering, Amelia wrapped the blanket tightly to her chest and stood up. The paparazzi stopped and let her pass by. They didn't utter a word and just watched her walk away from the crowd of people.
All of you get out!
She roared, and with that, all of them gets out. Amelia should figure out what happened last night and what made the paparazzi storm to her location. But to her dismay, she couldn't remember anything from last night. After everyone got out, a loud knock was heard. It was too violent, and Amelia doesn't have the energy to look for her clothes, so she walked towards the door with just a robe on and opened it. She doesn't care anymore, because she was sure that it's just the paparazzis bombarding her with questions again, but to her surprise, after opening the door, it was the least person she wants to see.
Oscar!
She whispered. Oscar pushed the door and came in, his lawyer tailing him behind. He even bowed to Amelia after entering. Amelia's heart hurts. The way her husband looks at her with disgust, she couldn't take it. Just one look from him, it made her heart shattered in pieces.
How could you do this to me, Amelia?
He asked angrily. Amelia was confused. She couldn't remember anything. What are you talking about? She asked.
You cheated on me. That's why you're not in the event last night.
He shouted.
I was there. I swear I was there. I had a few drinks with my friends, and when I was about to go back to you, I blacked out. I couldn't remember anything, Oscar. I didn't know how I get here.
She started crying.
Liar. You couldn't remember anything because you were too drunk to remember. You were with another man.
Why are you so sure that I was with another man? I know myself, Oscar. I wouldn't do such a thing even if I am too drunk. I respect you so much. How—
That's enough, Amelia. Enough with your lies. I want a divorce.
Oscar said coldly. Amelia aggressively shook her head and tried to hold his hand, but Oscar took it away.
Oscar, I swear I didn't do it.
She cried, but Oscar shook his head. He was too convinced to serve the papers to her.
Read her the conditions,
He said to his lawyer. His lawyer cleared his throat and started talking.
Upon discovering the truth, both parties agreed to have divorce, and the other party agrees to hand over the company to Mr. Oscar Cooper.
He stated.
What?
Amelia shouted.
The company?
She asked.
Yes, you don't have the right to be the heiress of the company anymore. Since your name has been stained because of what you've done, you're no longer fit to become the owner of it.
He said.
No, I work hard for the company.
She shouted.
You don't have the right to object anymore, Amelia. I will be the new heir of the company.
He said.
How could you do this to me?
She shouted at him.
Enough. Sign the damn contract and get your things from my house. I don't want to see you anymore. You're such a disgrace to your family and to the company.
He stated. Amelia felt cornered. Oscar was right. The paparazzis made a huge fuss about the so-called scandal that has happened last night. She was the face of the company, and with the paparazzis, she's entirely sure that her name's already on the bulletin, making noises of what she did last night. The company will be affected, and because of it, the board will have doubt on her. She knew the consequences very well, and even though she doesn't want to, Amelia held the pen handed by the lawyer. With a shaky hand, she signed the contract.
Thank you for your cooperation, Amelia.
The lawyer said after getting the file from her.
You should have looked at your actions, Amelia.
Oscar said before he left. Amelia felt her entire world was shattered. She lost her husband and her dearest company, the company built by her family. Just a snap of a fingers, she lost it all. After an hour or two from crying, Amelia looked for her clothes from last night and wore it. She doesn't have anything now. She lost her dearest company. She wanted to forget, she wanted to escape from the pain she was feeling, and she couldn't care less about the paparazzis taking pictures of her. The news says about the divorce and how she lost the company. Amelia's tears started to fall again as she remembered what Oscar told her. She loved him. He should have trusted her, but instead of listening, Oscar shut his ears and heart and judged her. Instead of being there by her side, he was the first one who left her, who turned his back on her. Amelia shook her head and drank whatever is left on her glass.
I want another one, please,
she stated, looking at the bartender.
I think you had enough, ma'am.
He said,
I did, but how come the pain didn't go away? I think I'm still sober, she sniffed. Pour me another drink, please.
She pleaded. The bartender couldn't do anything but to obey her wishes. They let her be. After a couple more shots, Amelia decided to call her driver and go home.
I'm just gonna get my things,
she said to the helpers after she arrived to their house.
Don't make a fuss about it. I will go after I get my things,
she added. But Amelia didn't go to their room. She went to one of the guest rooms and slept. She was too drunk, but still, her mind was sober, and all it could do was to reminisce all the good things she had with her husband. She closes her eyes, but she was crying in her sleep. She worked hard for the company. It made a name because of her, and just a snap of a finger, everything was lost. Her hard-worked company, her name, her husband. Everything was lost. Amelia wished that everything was just a nightmare that she could wake up of, but it's not. It's reality, and it's really bitter. After a couple of hours, Amelia woke up with a faint knock on the door. She took a deep breath before opening it.
Dinner is ready, Mum.
The maid announced.
Thanks, but I won't stay for dinner. I will just get my things and get out of here.
The maid nodded her head respectfully and let her be. Amelia took a shower and wore the spare clothes on the cabinet and decided to go to their room and get her things. As she walks down the aisle going to their room, Amelia looked at the picture frames hanged to the wall. It was their wedding pictures. A bitter smile escaped her lips, but Amelia shook it away. Amelia was stopped by a muffled moans coming from their bedroom. She was about to open the door, but she stopped after hearing the name.
Oscar.
The woman from the bedroom moaned, and after hearing it, Amelia immediately opened the door. There! She saw her husband on top of a woman, and when she saw the woman, her mouth literally fell open.
Kitty!
She shouted. Oscar was already half naked, and the only thing that separates them was their underwear. Once again, Amelia's tears started falling before she shook her head.
What's the meaning of this?
Amelia shouted. Amelia's kind face vanished and was changed into pure rage of anger and disgust. Kitty was Oscar's secretary. She wasn't prepared for it because Kitty was so nice and respectful towards her in the office, but after all, a kind facade masks a snake from the crowd indeed.
Oh, please, Amelia, we're done.
Oscar said coldly before he stood up and put on his pants.
Yes, we were, just a few hours ago.
Amelia shouted.
How long have you been cheating on me, Oscar?
She asked, trying to be calm.
You don't have the right to question me when you were the one who cheated.
Oscar shouted at her. Amelia was taken aback at what she heard.
Who the hell is naked on top of another woman, Oscar?
Oscar shook his head before he took his pants from the floor and put it on.
Enough, Amelia. I don't have anything to say to you.
You sure not? That's why you filed a divorce because of this, and for Pete's sake, you dragged down my company.
Amelia took a sharp breath.
You planned all of this.
She shook her head.
Shut it, Amelia, just go. You don't have anything left here. All you have is your dignity. Spare it.
Kitty said. Amelia wanted to shout at them, insult them, but she's too tired from everything, and she just wants to reserve the energy she had left to get out of the mansion. She felt humiliated.
Someday, you'll regret all of this,
she said, and then walked out. Amelia wiped the tears away from her face before she went out from the damn mansion she used to call home. Amelia looked at her house and shook her head before she got into her car and drove off. After that night, Amelia flew away. Her mother helped her with the moving, and she provided Amelia's accommodations and house. When she got there, she was picked by her mother's men and brought her to her new house. She applied for Oxford, and luckily she got in. The next few days were a bliss for her. She went back to school and her mother was supporting her. Until one day she got sick. There's a time that she just lays in bed and couldn't stand up because she was too dizzy. Her professor already excused her and told her that she might got a flu from her flight and she just needs to take it easy and rest since it's still early and the regular classes will start the week after.
Why don't you go to the hospital?
Her helper asked her one day when she was...
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet mentally.
Felt her blood ran out from her body after hearing the news.
There must be some mistake.
She reasoned out. The doctor's gaze switched to the helper beside her.
I am sorry, but the lab results shows that you are a week pregnant and it can't be wrong. Please excuse me.
The doctor excused herself.
What will I do?
We'll figure it out. I am here to help you all through out of your pregnancy.
Her helper reassured her.
But I already enrolled myself.
Amelia started crying.
We'll figure it out. For now, let's go home so that you can take a rest and I will cook some porridge.
Her helper coaxed. Amelia sighed and nodded after they paid for the hospital bill. They went home. She went back to her room and had a good cry. She thought about their future and how she will make things work for the both of them. Later on, Amelia started to recover from her morning sickness, and she already told the school about her situation, and they agreed that at her 3rd trimester she will be attending online classes, and she will be given papers to be studied and she has to perfect all the tests from it. If not, they will kick her out. Amelia couldn't say no. She wanted to get back to school so bad, and her pregnancy will never be the hindrance. So she made it happen.
Congratulations, Mummy. It's a healthy little boy.
The doctor happily announced after she had her first ultrasound. Amelia couldn't help but to cry. She was too happy not to cry. When she got home, she told her helpers the news, and they were really happy. When she got into her room, Amelia hugged her ultrasound picture while her hands on her tummy.
We'll make it through this, my love. I promise no one will ever hurt you or judge you. Mommy will always protect you no matter what.
She cried. Amelia was scared at first because she doesn't know what her mother will tell, but instead of judging or getting angry, she hugged Amelia and told her that she will never leave her side and she will support her in every way. 5 years after, the plane landed on the airport. All of the passengers stood up and went to the exit, and when they got to the arrival, Amelia panicked because Archie broke off her grasp and ran off. The place was too crowded, she couldn't see him immediately.
Thank you.
She sighed after a kind man held Archie in the middle of the crowd. The man smiled.
Archie, say thank you to the man for holding you.
Amelia told her son. Archie smiled and looked at the man.
Thank you, sir,
He said before bowing his head. He said before tapping Archie's head. The man leaves them, and Amelia squatted down and looked at little Archie.
You shouldn't have done that, little man. What if it was a bad man and kidnapped you? How will I find you?
Amelia talked to him.
I'm sorry, Mommy. I promise I wouldn't do it again.
Archie answered.
Gosh, how will I stay angry with that face?
Amelia laughed and kissed his puffy cheeks before she stood up.
Come on, let's find the person who'll pick us up,
she said.
Okay, Mommy?
Not further away from them, a young girl holding a board with the name Miss Millie. Amelia smiled and went to the direction where the young girl was.
Hi, I'm Miss Millie.
It was a name she used when she was abroad. She wanted a fresh start, and her name Amelia's already stained, and it has a bad memory, so she changed it into something light, which eventually suits her bubbly personality.
Welcome to New York, Ms. Millie. I will be the one to accompany you.
She smiled and looked at little Archie.
Hi, pal. Can you give me a fist bump?
She added before she formed her fist into a ball, and Archie was very happy to oblige.
Thank you so much.
Amelia smiled.
I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Millie. How rude. I'm Rosie. How could I forgot that part?
Rosie facepalmed, which made Amelia chuckled, and Archie giggles. Rosie's face softened and smiled. Her cheeks became red because of the embarrassment.
Yes, it's okay.
Archie giggled.
We don't mind at all.
He's really a cutie.
Rosie smiled at Amelia.
He is my silver lining,
Amelia said, looking at Archie.
Anyways, let's go, and you might get late from your meeting, Miss Millie. Please follow me. Car's already waiting.
Amelia nodded her head and held on little Archie before they followed Rosie. Their luggage was already at the hotel they're going to stay in. Amelia decided not to go her parents' house because she wanted to surprise her mother. When she's still in abroad, her mother often visits them, and she always convinces her that she'd go back to New York, but every time, Amelia refuses to do so. Now that she's finally back home, she wanted to surprise her. She didn't even told her mother that she'll be working at Luminous Corporation and as an executive officer. She hid her plans to her. While on the way to the company, Amelia couldn't help but to smile at the thought of her mother's surprise gaze. She was just dragged back to reality when Rosie announced their arrival. Rosie got out first and opened the door for her.
Is this where you gonna work, Mommy?
Archie held his mother's hand. Amelia looked at the tall building and then to her son.
Yes, my love. This is where I'm gonna work.
She answered him.
This way, Miss Millie.
Rosie called for them.
Let's go.
Archie nodded his head and smiled.
Yeah, I'm gonna see Mommy's workplace.
Amelia chuckled and nodded.
Indeed, my love.
Amelia and Archie went into the company and got onto the elevator.
Your office will be at the 15th floor, Ms. Millie.
Archie gasped.
15th. How many floors does this building have, Ms. Rosie?
Rosie looked at Amelia before she looked at Archie.
Well, this building has 23 floors, young man, and on the top floor, it's where the CEO of the company's office is.
Mommy, what's a CEO?
Archie looked at his mother.
A CEO is someone who manages the whole company. He is responsible for all the happening in the company in the...
I see. Then you have to be CO.
Amelia chuckled.
I will someday, my loves.
She smiled and kissed his forehead. The elevator finally stopped at the 15th floor, and they all got out, and the whole floor was very busy. Little Archie was very amazed by the scene.
They're very busy.
This way, Ms. Millie.
Amelia and Archie followed her. This will be your office, Ms. Millie, and this is Ms. Nina, your secretary. From here, she will be the one to assist you, she informed Amelia.
Hi, Miss Nina. My name's Amelia Cooper.
She shook Nina's hand.
Nice meeting you, Miss Amelia.
Well, my work here is done.
Rosie smiled.
Goodbye, young man.
Rosie gestured a high five and Archie playfully slapped her hand. Rosie then muffled his hair.
Thank you so much, Rosie, for assisting us.
Amelia smiled.
Thank you, Miss Rosie.
After saying her final goodbyes, Rosie got out of the office, leaving Nina and Amelia with little Archie behind. Amelia gave Archie some toys to play at the coffee table and took a deep breath.
It's good.
And her mother was very happy with her decisions.
But are you sure you don't want to stay at the mansion?
Amelia smiled and shook her head.
Yes, Mom, I want to live with Archie alone. We have a life of our own now, and I want to stand on my own.
Her mother sighed and smiled.
Well then, all I can do is to support your decisions. But please accept my help in the future.
Amelia agreed to her mother, and they talked a little more. Then they decided to go home. Amelia still needs to prepare for tonight's welcome party for her, and Archie needs his afternoon nap. So after they finished, they decided to go home. Amelia put Archie to sleep, and then she took a long, relaxing bath. It's already 2 in the afternoon when she's done bathing. Her dress was already prepared. It was a thin gray dress with a long slit on the right side, and when she wore it, the dress complemented her slim figure and curves.
Wow, Mommy, you look stunning.
Amelia jumped. She was surprised by her son's sudden reaction.
Honey, I thought you're still asleep.
She chuckled.
I was, but you came into the room and the door made a noise.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
Amelia said, kissing his son's forehead.
I'm just going to curl my hair and put some makeup on. Hannah will help you take a bath and get ready.
Okay, Mommy.
Hannah, their helper, went into their room and assisted Archie to take a bath while she's doing her hair and makeup. After a while, they come out, and the helper put on Archie's tux and his shoes on. It's already 5 in the afternoon when they finished.
Wow, what a handsome young man,
Amelia's mother said after seeing Archie in his tux. Archie giggled and smiled.
I'm Mommy's date tonight.
Everybody will lay eyes on you then, because Mommy's date's very handsome.
Archie smiled and felt proud. After they bid their goodbyes, they got into the car and the driver drove off.
Did you just say?
Kitty shouted and slammed her hands on the table after hearing the news.
Yes, ma'am. The Luminous Corporation organized a welcome party for her tonight.
Her assistant told her.
This can't be it. Oscar mustn't know about her arrival or else it...
Although Oscar chose her over Amelia, she still has insecurities, especially to Amelia. She's selfish and arrogant. She wants Oscar for herself only, and knowing about the news, it's a pretty huge threat for her. After what happened, Cooper Corporation became cock, but it didn't thrive just like before everything that happened. It's been 3 years, and there's a lot happened. Kitty became the vice president of cock, but she wasn't married to Oscar. That's why she's scared that sooner or later Oscar will go back to Amelia, especially with the fact that they were married once. Kitty felt anxious, cursing under her breath while walking around her office. I have to do something.
I will go to the parties,
she announced momentarily.
But ma'am, Luminous Corporation excluded our company from the guest list.
That made Kitty angrier.
Find a goddamn way, you idiot.
Amelia and Archie danced. She was carrying Archie, and they were twirling and dancing on the dance floor. Archie held on his mother's neck and was giggling all the time they were dancing. People were watching them. Some loves their mother and son moment, while others take the time to talk about Amelia and how familiar she is. Luminous Corp is a huge group of companies with wide networks, from NICE stretched to other countries. It is so huge that a lot of people know the company and how strong it is. Cock is their biggest competition. For years, their relationship with Cock were in heat. After they danced, the announcer went up to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the new face of Luminous Corporation,
the announcer said, making the crowd turn to the stage. Nina held Archie's hand while Amelia climbed the stage.
Good evening, everyone,
she greeted.
As you all know, I am the new executive officer of the company.
After saying it, people cheered her.
For those who doesn't know about my work, I will explain it for you, Being an executive officer means I am responsible to make decisions and strategy making of the company.
She smiled.
Wow. Knowing how huge Luminous Corporation is, I might lose my mind sooner or later.
She joked, which made everyone laugh.
Anyhow, thank you so much for the warm welcome, and I am looking forward to work with you all.
Everyone clapped their hands. Amelia was about to get out of stage, but she was stopped by a mocking laugh, which made everyone fell silent. Amelia stopped and looked at the crowd. To her huge dismay, it was Kitty who was laughing, and she looks drunk. She also has a Mick with her.
Everyone, listen.
The announcer was about to call the guards, but she was stopped by Amelia.
I know her. Let her talk.
The announcer signaled the floor director to stop the guards and let the drunk woman be. Kitty chuckled while looking at the guards.
Thank you for stopping them.
Kitty laughed.
Anyways, may I just introduce that woman to all of you?
She looked around.
That woman is the former president of Cooper Group. Aren't you people curious on how she got her position? Well, news flash people. It's because of her title.
She shouted and laughed after. The people on the venue started to converse with each other, talking about what she was saying, and with that, a woman raised her hand. Amelia nodded her head as a sign that it is okay to ask a question.
If the woman's words are true, then I guess it's really unfair for those who has the right for the position.
Everyone agreed, and the announcer looked at Amelia with an apologetic stare.
I'm so sorry for Miss Cooper.
Amelia smiled and winked at her.
I got this.
She gave Archie a thumbs up and went back to get the mic.
So to answer your question, Mom, yes, it'll be unfair for those who earns the position. This is beyond from what I am expecting, but here, I can show you my diploma.
Amelia looked at the screen. Her diploma from Oxford was shown and most of the people gasped.
As we all know, Oxford is quite a hard-passed university. You need to have a GPA of 3.7 out of 4.0 as a requirement, and it only has an acceptance rate of 1317 if you want. You can get my background information there. I graduated Executive Master of Business Administration, which made me very qualified for this position,
Amelia said, looking at Kitty.
But still, you probably didn't apply here as an executive officer. Surely you were just handpicked because you're the daughter of the former owner of Cooper Corporation.
To answer that, I can show all of you my resume,
Amelia said, looking back at the screen.
I have applied online when I was still abroad, and the company took 3 months before giving me a call. I took an exam like everyone else, got passing score of 98, and got an interview online. After a week, the company called me again, telling me that I have passed and I will be working in their branch here in NYC. That's why I am here in front of you tonight, proving my worth for this hard-earned position.
Amelia smiled. After that, everyone clapped their hands while Kitty was dragged by the guards away from the stage, feeling humiliated. She plans to humiliate Amelia to make her go back to where she came from, but that night she failed. Amelia looked the angry Kitty and shook her head. She might humiliated her 3 years ago, dragged her down, and made her feel worthless. But this time, she's already powerful. Amelia didn't go abroad just to escape her past. She went there to start anew, to be someone who will never be looked down at, and after she graduated in Oxford, that made her biggest asset.
I'm really sorry for what happened, Miss Cooper,
Nina said after she got down from the stage.
The guards should done their job properly. I promise I will address this to the CO at once.
It's okay, Nina, you don't have to that. It's done already,
Amelia assured her before she touched her shoulder.
Who was that, Mommy?
Mommy's old friend.
Archie's shoulders went up and down.
Well, she's pretty, but she doesn't have brains.
He chuckled.
Now, Archie, don't be rude.
I'm sorry, Mommy.
The night was still young, but Archie was already sleepy, so Amelia decided that Nina would take him to his grandmother's house so that he could take a nap, and Amelia will just fetch him after the party. Nina was happy to be obliged. She was instructed to get back to the party since Amelia still doesn't know who's who. She was talking with some of the board members on a small table when a ruckus started to happen. Amelia looked at what was it and saw that it was Kitty. She was already escorted by the guards, but still she was fighting them. She wanted to get to Amelia. Amelia signaled the guards to let her be. Kitty snatched her arm and stopped in front of her. Amelia stood up, and this was the first time she face to face the woman her ex-husband chose over her and Archie. Even though her anger is rising up and she wanted to slap her hard on the face, Amelia stayed composed. She doesn't want to stoop down to her level now that she's 5 steps higher than her. Amelia would never do something that can damage her name.
What do you want, Kitty? You already humiliated me to everybody. Why are you still here?
Amelia asked calmly. Kitty looked away and gritted her teeth before looking at her.
I want you out of our lives for good, Amelia. I want you to stay away from us.
I am. But here you are crashing from a party that you weren't invited of and trying to humiliate me.
Kitty opened her mouth but was stopped.
I never thought the vice president of COC would do anything irrational like this.
One of the board members said,
Darling, you were supposed to be the face and name of your company, but here you are, gate-crashing a party and making yourself look like a clown for making a huge scene like this.
Kitty felt her blood was drained. She didn't realize that the table Amelia is full of well-known and powerful people. Her ears heated up and it became red from embarrassment. Kitty's anger drowned her and she became blind. Now she couldn't take back what she said.
Guards, take this woman away. She disturbed this party already.
The other board member said. Amelia smirked as she was dragged out by 2 of the guards, and she doesn't have a choice but to go with them. Everything backfired, and now she was the one who looks like a clown to everyone.
One more threat, and we will call the police, miss.
One of the guard told her.
I will sue all of you.
She shouted.
You don't know me. I am the...
She was cut off by the other guard.
We know you. And if you call the police now, you will be the one who'll get arrested by trespassing an exclusive party that you weren't invited.
Kitty couldn't do anything and just stormed out of the Luminous Corporation and went into her car.
Damn it, damn it.
She shouted before she punched her car's steering wheel.
Damn you, Amelia?
She cursed, remembering the little smirk on her face. Amelia went into her office with Archie the next day. Her office is big, and she doesn't want to get a babysitter, and besides, Archie wants to be close to her all the time, so she took him with her at the office.
Good morning, ma'am. Hello, Archie.
Nina greeted them after she got into the office. Amelia's office has 2 tables, one for her and Nina, a small coffee table on the right side next to the door with a 3-seat sofa.
till 100.
He shouted cheerfully. Nina laughed and shook her head.
Wow, what a smart little man.
I wanted to grow fast for Mommy. Sometimes I saw her crying and I don't know why. Someday, if I get a little more tall, I will kick whoever makes her cry.
He added. That made Nina laugh.
You really love your mommy, huh?
Of course. She's the only one I have. Oh, I also got Nana,
he said, referring to his grandmother.
Yes, you have her too.
Nina smiled.
Let's go. Let's buy her mommy's coffee.
Nina stood up from the swing, Archie copying her. They went to the coffee shop and ordered the coffee. Then they walked back to the office, Archie running towards her table before kissing her on her cheeks.
Here's your coffee, ma'am,
Nina said before putting the cup in her table.
Thank you,
Amelia said, smiling. After she sips it, she plastered a huge smile.
Wow, you got it right.
Nina smiled.
Archie helped me.
Oh, really, love?
Amelia looked at her son.
Yes, 1 latte with a little bit of cream and 3 of sugar.
Amelia gasped and laughed.
He remembered. I always brings him to my favorite coffee shop when we're still back home.
Archie told me,
Nina said shyly. Amelia chuckled and shook her head.
I guess he shared half of our life there, huh?
She laughed. Nina smiled and nodded her head.
Quiet. Some, actually.
Archie was wearing a suit and a cute tie. He looked himself in the mirror and they arranged the tie because it was misplaced when he played in the swing. The 2 adults laughed at his gestures.
Like a boss.
Nina laughed.
Indeed he is,
Amelia replied with a chuckle. After having a good laugh about Archie's gestures, Amelia started working. Nina also started her job and arranged Amelia's schedule for the day. Archie, on the other hand, was also busy with his drawings. It was already 11 when they finished, and Archie told his mother that he's already hungry.
Why don't you guys buy us some food?
Amelia looked at them.
All right, Mommy.
Archie jumped from the sofa with a huge grin on his face. Nina smiled and took the card from Amelia before they went off. Luminous Building is located at the heart of Nice, which means all of the establishments were walking distance and they don't need to take a cab.
Where do you want to go?
I want to go to KFC. Mommy likes their food there too.
Archie shrugged.
All right, let's go.
Nina held his hand and they walked across the street. They went inside and Archie took a seat while Nina ordered their food. Archie wanted to eat there and Nina agreed because he might be really hungry, so she called Amelia to tell her the plan, and she's okay with it, saying that she's still not hungry and she can wait for them until they gets back. Amelia also instructed Nina to eat her share with Archie so he won't be feeling alone while eating. Nina hesitated at first but still obeyed Amelia. As they were eating, Archie took his iPad from his bag and started scrolling. Upon scrolling, Nina noticed a familiar face.
Archie, do you know the woman from last night?
She asked, referring to Kitty. She looks familiar, but I don't know her. I told Mommy she's pretty, but she has no brain. With that, Nina laughed.
Why so?
She wasn't supposed to be there. There are rules implemented and you have to obey them, but that woman didn't. That's why the guards pulled her away,
he stated before eating some fries. Nina was still surprised on how intelligent the kid was. She still couldn't believe that this young man in front of her is still 4 years old. Maybe it's because he was exposed by his mother to college at the young age, and according to him, he was taught by his mother's professors and his friends were his mother's classmates from Oxford, which means they also have higher IQ. Amelia also shared that Archie was bullied by kids at his age back home because he has black hair. They often calls him adopted. They laugh about his hair color and or with his eye color because Archie has dark brown eyes and he got his hair color as well. As for Amelia, she has a hazelnut curly long hair and a pair of emerald green eyes. That's why kids his age bullies him because he is nothing like his mother. The only thing that he got from his mother is her pointy nose. That's why Archie preferred talking to older people than kids his age. He would ask them questions upon questions, ask them to teach him something he wanted to know, or let him read their books. But still, even though his mind's a little mature than the other kids, Archie's playfulness is still there. He still gets his tantrums sometimes, but he and his mother can talk it through. Archie was busy scrolling from his iPad when he came across with a picture. Nina saw this, and he was awfully familiar.
Do you know him?
Nina asked, referring to the picture.
Yes, I heard he's a wealthy bachelor and nice. He's quite a private person, and you can only read a few articles about him.
Nina literally dropped her mouth about what Archie said, but he didn't care, and just scrolled again. This time the picture shows Oscar. How about that man?
That's Oscar. To be honest, I really don't like him. I don't know why, but every time I see his picture, I always got mad.
Archie shrugged.
I see.
Nina said, not knowing what to say.
Have you finished your food?
Yeah.
Archie smiled and nodded.
We better go back now. Your mommy might be curious because we've been gone for too long now.
Before standing up, Archie filed the trash to the tray and then he smiled to Nina.
Mommy always tells me to clean as you go.
Nina smiled and nodded.
Let's go.
She held Archie's left hand. On their way crossing the street, Archie was busy looking through his phone and he didn't notice the car, and before he could ran over it, Nina immediately pulled him. The car stopped in front of them. It was a Rolls-Royce, a white one. Archie was a huge fan of cars and Rolls-Royce is one of them.
Stupid kid! We almost hit him!
The driver said after they stopped. Jude looked through the window and saw the kid with the lady. From the looks of it, she's clearly not the mother. He also chuckled when he saw the kid was on a suit and had a blue small tie.
Sir, what are we going to do?
Jude didn't say a thing. He just stared at the kid for quite some time and he rolled down the window of the car, and there, Archie saw a familiar figure with his sunglasses on, but instead of saying sorry, Jude threw them money and drove off. Archie didn't pick up the money. Instead, he looks at the car, which is now running fast away from them.
That was the Phantom, a latest model from Rolls-Royce.
Archie muttered in an awe.
Are you okay, Archie? Are you hurt somewhere?
Nina scanned Archie's small figure. Archie looked at her and gave her a smile.
I'm fine. Sorry, Miss Nina, if I made you worry. No, it's fine.
Nina sighed.
But the car's really cool thought.
Really? You know what kind of car is it?
Yep, it's the Phantom, latest model of Rolls-Royce, and it cost $460,000.
Wow, it's really expensive. Yet, the owners seem to be arrogant.
She added, looking at the scattered money.
Yeah, that reporter is kinda arrogant indeed.
Archie agrees, wiggling his nose.
Let's go.
Nina held on to his hand again. Archie still couldn't believe what he saw. He knew that the only richest and high-level people could only afford his dream car, and that reporter is one of them. Archie saw an article when they were still on Cave C, which has the man's face on, and even though he was wearing sunglasses, Archie remembered his face but not the name. He mistaken him as a reporter. Nina was still talking about what happened and told Archie how nervous she was and how the events will turn if she didn't stop him midway. Amelia would kill her for sure, but Archie's thoughts were already somewhere else.
Can we please not tell Mommy what happened?
Nina stopped walking and squatted so that she could level to him.
Why? If your mommy founds it to other people, she'll get mad. It's best if we're the ones who's going to tell her what happened.
Yes, but Mommy's gone too much, and I don't want her to worry. She has a job to take care of, and I know she's still thinking of what happened last night. That's why I don't want to add what happened today to her worries.
Nina scratched the back of her neck. Archie was right.
Okay, but sooner or later, we have to tell her what happened today. Is that okay?
Yes, we will, I promise.
You really are very smart.
Nina commented before she muffled his hair.
But were you scared back there?
Because I surely am. A little bit, but Mommy always says that if I pray every night, my guardian angel will always be there to protect me. That's why I wasn't that scared, because I always pray every night.
That's nice, but still, you have to be very careful when crossing the streets. No phone, because sometimes, if the accident happens too fast, our guardian angel might get confused and couldn't save us on time. That's why we always have to be vigilant, okay?
Archie nodded and smiled.
Okay.
After their walk, Nina and Archie decided to go back to the office. It wasn't a long walk since the building was just a few blocks away from the park where they sat down. When they got into the building, they went directly to Amelia's office.
Here's your food, ma'am,
Nina said while she handed the paper bag to her.
Thank you.
She looked at Archie and saw that he yawned.
You can sleep on the sofa, love.
Archie nodded and went to the sofa. There was a cushioned pillow on each side of the sofa, and with Archie being small, he fits perfectly to the sofa. Moments later, he fell asleep. Amelia took a short break and ate her lunch. For the next hours, Amelia and Nina became busy. Amelia looked into her emails and carefully reviews them, while Nina's busy doing Amelia's schedule for the whole week.
You're kinda busy this week?
Really? Well, I have to work hard for our future.
Yeah.
Nina, have you seen the CEO of Luminous Corporation?
No, not yet. No one ever knows him. He's a very private person, and he has his own elevator going to his office. High office is closed with no mirrors. When you want to make him sign the papers, you will be directed to sign the papers. You will be directed to his secretary. She's the only one who knew him.
Do you know why he does that?
Nina shrugged.
People say he wants a private and simple life. He doesn't want to be awfully respected. Like if you saw him, you have the urge to bow your head. That kind of respect. He wanted his people to treat him like other employees. There's also a rumor that Mr. Logan sometimes roams the building without anyone following him, so he could observe his employees well.
Wow, that's pretty cool. He's cool.
Yep, he is.
Nina smiled and fell silent for a moment.
Ma'am, may I ask you something personal?
Of course.
Amelia smiled.
5 years ago, your name was everywhere. There was a huge rumor about why you left. People talked that you were caught with another man. That's why your husband divorced you.
Amelia never talked about the issue. She just wanted to forget about her past and move on, but now she got the chance to explain herself. Not to all but one person is enough, though.
I was framed. That dick of a husband framed me, and he took away the company I worked hard for.
She sighed.
I would never do anything to harm our marriage. I really loved him, you know.
Amelia paused for a while and shook her head.
But he was the one who betrayed me.
She finished, looking at Nina.
You were accused of something that you would never do.
Yes, after what napped that night, I flew away from the pain and humiliation. From the prying eyes of the one-sided people.
She took a deep breath and smiled.
Anyways, that was 4 years back in Archie, and I conquered it all.
She looked at her sleeping son.
I'm sorry I asked, ma'am.
No, it's fine. I was holding that explanation for quite some time, and releasing it makes my shoulder relaxed.
She chuckled. Nina smiled and nodded her head.
You know what? Why don't you stop calling me Mom? Besides, I can work more efficiently with that too. I feel nervous and pressured every time you call me Mom.
She chuckled.
But that's how it should work.
I know, but please, call me by my first name.
Nina shook her head and smiled.
Okay, Amelia.
She laughed.
It feels so foreign not calling you ma'am here.
Nonsense. I like my name more.
She laughed. The two of them talked a little more, and Nina shared info about her. After a few minutes, they went back to work. Amelia is now sorting her emails for tomorrow's reviews, while Nina was focusing on Amelia's workload for next week.
Okay, Amelia.
Nina looked at the clock, and it was already 3 in the afternoon.
Amelia, why don't you and Archie go home? I will take care of the others.
Nina said, referring to Amelia's work. Amelia looked at the clock, and it was still too early to go home.
But it's still too early.
It's fine. You already finished signing the papers I brought. For now, that was the only task you need to do. Besides, Archie isn't comfortable at the sofa.
Amelia sighed and nodded while looking at the sleeping Archie.
I bet it isn't,
she said before standing up. She went to the sofa and she slowly woke him up.
Hey, love, let's go home.
Archie sat down and yawned.
You finished your work already, Mommy?
Amelia nodded.
Yes, dear.
Archie stood up and put his things away.
Goodbye, Miss Nina.
He bowed his head.
Goodbye. See you tomorrow, little man.
Nina waved goodbye.
See you tomorrow,
Amelia said before exiting the office. Amelia held Archie's hand. A car was already waiting for them when they got out from the building. Amelia bought a small apartment, just enough for the both of them. Her mother offers her a car and a driver. She wanted to refuse, but her mother told her that it'll be convenient for them, especially that she has a toddler. So she let her be. When they got home, Amelia prepared something for Archie while she's cooking. After she cooked, she went to have a shower, and then they eat their dinner. Amelia looked at her son while he was eating. Archie's really a smart kid, and he's capable of doing things a grown-up can do, but still, she wants him to be her baby still. She wants him to be her baby still.
I'm sorry I didn't have enough time for you today.
It's okay, Mommy. I understand. Everything that you are doing is for me. That's why I understand, and besides, I love Mommy so much.
Archie smiled at her. Amelia muffled his hair.
Eat up and go take a shower after finishing your food.
Okay, Mommy.
Archie answered before munching his food. After he finished his plate, Archie took them to the sink and washed his hand before he went back to the table. Amelia suddenly had a thought about Oscar and Kitty. Her what-ifs flooded in, and she thought, what if everything didn't actually happen? What was her life? She loved Oscar and was ready to have a family with him, but he thought otherwise. He chose Kitty over her. Archie noticed his mother's sad gaze and came to hug her.
Are you okay, Mommy?
Amelia wiped away the tear that had escaped from her eyes and smiled.
Of course, I wouldn't I be when I got a handsome young man like you?
She asked before kissing his cheek.
Please don't be sad.
Amelia nodded and smiled before hugging him tightly.
No, go and take a bath.
Archie smiled and nodded before he took his towel and went to the bathroom. Amelia put away her plate and put them on the sink before she started washing them. Her life wasn't easy for the past 4 years, but she made it. She made it because Archie was with her. Few minutes later, Archie finished bathing. Amelia was already waiting for her to dress him up. You go and rest, my love. I will take a bath and sleep too, she said before kissing Archie to sleep. But after Amelia turned off the light and closed his bedroom door, Archie got up and dialed the phone. Archie went to look where his mother was, and when she saw her already in bed and sleeping, he went back to his room and dialed his friend's number. After a couple of minutes, the calls answered.
Missy, it's me.
Archie, how are you?
I am fine, could you please help me with something?
Of course, anything for you.
Thanks anyways. We already moved to New York and my mommy had her job already, but sometimes I can see her sad.
Missy was just listening from the other side of the call.
Okay, so how can I help you?
If you can, could you please look into someone? I can't seem to find more information of him online, so could you please help me?
Sure, what's his name?
She started typing to her computer while she was waiting for Archie's answer. She's capable of hacking computers of individuals and huge companies. But her main work is an IT specialist from a huge company.
Jude Logan.
She was shocked at first, but she trusted Archie and eventually didn't ask him anything.
Okay, wait, I'll check on him.
Missy scanned the whole internet, went to some private sites, and hacked onto some of the news sites, but she couldn't find the name Archie gave. Archie waited, but she could hear Missy silently cussing from the other line. He shook his head and bit his lip. Maybe she couldn't do it. He uttered to himself,
Archie, Pale.
Yes, Missy?
I can't get through to other sites. His identity's awfully hidden.
Archie sighed.
You can't help me then?
He asked, a little heartbroken and dismayed.
Did I say I couldn't?
Missy chuckled. That's when Archie knew. He got an awfully skilled friend that is willing to help him anytime and anywhere. He smiled with glee while waiting for the information he needed. After a while of waiting, Missy got back to him.
Found it.
Great.
I hacked into his personal computer, she chuckled. So anyways, here's his information.
Missy gave him the details. Jude Logan is a very wealthy and well-known personality, but also a very private person. He owns various of companies, and he's also the chairman of Luxiffusion LC and supervisor of the New York City branch. He's also from Oxford, but he graduated 2 years before his mother. He's also a very smart person. Archie clicked his tongue and smirked. Missy also told him the address of his villa in Nice. All of the important information was given, and Archie was more than satisfied. But after Missy gave him all of the information, she got curious.
May I know what are you going to do with that information, Archie?
Oh, nothing. I just got curious.
Missy was not satisfied with his answer, but still, she didn't push the topic because she trusts him too much. They talked a little more until Archie fell asleep with his iPad on his chest, hugging it. Amelia woke up early, and when she looked at Archie's room, she was surprised to his iPad on his chest because the last thing she remembered before she went to sleep, he was already asleep on his bed. She went into his room and sat down at the edge of his bed and caressed his face carefully, not wanting to wake him up. Amelia looks at him with adoration and love. He's smart. He does things most 4-year-old can't, but still. He's her baby no matter what, and she's thankful that Archie lets her baby him sometimes. Moments later, Archie yawned and opened his eyes. "Good morning," Amelia greeted him.
Good morning, Mommy.
Archie greeted back. Amelia helped him stand up.
Go take a shower while I prepare our breakfast.
Archie smiled and nodded.
Please don't forget to brush your teeth.
Okay, Mommy.
Archie shouted back. He already in the bathroom. After getting a bath, he immediately went to his mother and they had breakfast. Amelia asked about what she saw, and Archie just told her that he woke up and couldn't go back to sleep. That's why he slept with his iPad. Archie's secretive about his plans on getting a date for his mother. He doesn't want her to be sad anymore, and the thought of her having a boyfriend might be a great help to make her feel happy. Archie saw her pain and sacrifices, and that's why he wanted to give her happiness. After finishing their breakfast, the both of them got ready and went to the company. It was still too early and Nina wasn't there yet.
My love, Nina's still not here to accompany you. Can you just play or draw there?
But Mommy, I want to eat ice cream.
Amelia nodded and stood up.
Wait, Mommy, I can go all by myself.
Oh no, my love, you can't. You're still too young to get out of the streets.
But Mommy, the ice cream shop is just at the 3rd block from this building. I don't need to cross the street.
But still, you're too young to go out alone. If really want to have ice cream, I can come with you. Besides, it's still too early. I can still accompany you.
Archie sighed.
But Mommy, I promise I won't get too long, and I will bring my phone with me in case if I get too long, you can call me.
He reassured her. Amelia knew about his son's capabilities, but still, he's too young to get out on the streets, but she doesn't want to stop him explore as well. Amelia looked at him and sighed deeply.
Okay, but promise me that you'll be fast.
I promise.
Archie jumped in glee. His mother smiled and gave him money. She was still hesitating, but Archie reassured her again before giving her a peck on the cheeks.
Bye, Mommy. I'll be back in no time,
he said before exiting the office. Archie took the elevator, and he was smiling from ear to ear. He plans on going to the address Missy has given her and talk to Jude Logan. When the elevator stopped at the ground floor, Archie immediately ran towards the exit and called for a cab. The driver couldn't help but glance at him every now and then. He was wondering why a 4-year-old's wandering alone. He gave the driver the address and waited until they could get there.
Where's your mummy, kid?
The driver asked after Archie handed him his fare.
Oh, she's at work. I'm going to my daddy.
The driver didn't ask for another question and just left him at the huge gate. The guard wasn't there in his post, so Archie snuck inside and looked for the address written in his paper. When he arrived, he was amazed by how huge the villa was. He tried to ring the doorbell, but it was too high for him. He tried to jump, but still, he couldn't reach it. Archie stopped and looked around for something he could use to reach the doorbell, but when he was about to get the stone to stand, a guard approached him.
What's wrong, kid? Do you have business with the owner of the villa?
Archie bit his lower lip and nodded.
Yes? Yeah.
The guard nodded and helped him ring the doorbell. The guard waited with him, and when the door swung open, Archie just stared at the man in front of him. Archie was flabbergasted after seeing the man. He couldn't express what he's feeling, and all he could ever do is to stare at him. The guard, on the other hand, cleared his throat, making Jude look at him.
Good day, Mr. Logan. A kid was looking for you. Do you want me to send him away? He said he has business with you.
Jude stayed his gaze on the kid behind the guard. He was in a suit, but with a cartoon-printed backpack on him. He looked like a businessman trapped in a kid's body from his attire. Archie felt shy all of a sudden and hid behind the guard's back. Jude darted his gaze at him, and Archie slowly shows himself.
No, thank you. I can handle it from here already.
Are you sure, Mr. Logan? Maybe he's one of those who's selling cookies or something.
It's fine.
Jude answered, annoyed already for the guard's persistence.
Okay then, Mr. Logan.
The guard greeted him one more time before he went back to his post, while Archie was left with Jude.
You want to come in?
He asked, in a friendly manner. Archie nodded his head and smiled before entering.
Thank you.
Upon entering, Archie couldn't help but to look at the detailed designs on each wall of Jude's luxurious villa. He could tell that it came from the different parts of the world, which made him very amused.
What can I do for you, young man?
Well, can't you offer me a seat first?
Jude chuckled and then nodded his head.
Please have a seat.
Archie nodded and went to the sofa, but it was too big for him, so he needs to crawl his way up to be seated. When he was done doing it, he cleared his throat. Jude was just silently looking at his actions. Jude also offers him a cookie and a glass of milk.
Now, who do I have business with?
My name is Archie Cooper, and I have a business proposal to you.
The guy shook his head and smirked.
What is it?
Archie cleared his throat and took the envelope out of his little bag.
I will give back the money you threw on the streets the last time, and I will forgive you for that insult you've done, but...
Jude was taken aback on what he said. He remembers that they almost ran a kid, but he couldn't remember the face because he didn't look at the kid carefully and he's bad at details. But now that Archie told him that he was the one who he had ran into, his conscience started to kick in.
What's the condition?
You will pretend to be my mother's boyfriend,
Archie said in a serious tone. Jude laughed and shook his head.
Are you being serious?
But the kid didn't show any emotion. He was serious enough to offer it to him. He didn't just went here to get home with nothing. Archie needs him to say yes, no matter what.
Did your mom send you here on purpose? Well, kid, tell her not to daydream. Her imagination's too high to get me.
He sneered. Archie wiggled his nose and shook his head.
My mom didn't send me here. I came here alone, and I just want to let you know that my mother's a smart woman as well. She graduated from Oxford with high honors, and she passed the board exam in just one take. She has the average of 98 from all the board takers.
No, I'm not interested with that idea. I am a very busy person, and pretending is not my game. Even though you told me her qualities, I will never do what you asked because it's very ridiculous.
The doorbell rang several times.
Please excuse me.
Jude stood up and went to the door to open it.
Mom.
His mom stormed in and went to the living room and was surprised to see Archie eating his cookie.
Jude, who is this kid? Is this your son?
Archie jumped out of the sofa and bowed his head after seeing the old lady.
Good game, ma'am.
Jude's mother smiled.
What a fine young man. You really looked like Jude. Are you his son?
Archie smiled and shook his head.
Unfortunately not, madam.
Jude's mother giggled after hearing his cute little voice. She put down her bag and went to the sofa where Archie was standing. She helped him get into the sofa and let him finish his cookie.
How old are you?
I'm 4 years old, madame.
Every time he calls her madame, Jude's mother couldn't help but giggle. Archie is too cute to be ignored. Jude, on the other hand, sat down across them and leaned to the sofa while his hand rested in the upper part of the sofa. He was just looking at them, and he felt that there's something about the kid that he couldn't put a finger on. He was just too interested in him, and he couldn't know why. But Sophie, on the other hand, couldn't help but look at Archie. He's Jude's carbon copy.
Are you sure that this kid isn't your son?
I am father. Why wouldn't I know if I have a son?
But he really looks like you. He resembles you when you were young. Let me find your old photo album,
she said, and stood up.
I'll be right back, darling.
Okay, madame.
Archie smiled and nodded. Sophie went to Jude's second floor and started looking for his old photo album to compare. And when she finally found it, she went back down and to the living room.
Here, Jude, take a look.
Jude looked at the pictures and was really surprised to see their resemblance. Because of this, Jude and his mother were really confused, and that made Jude doubt. How old are you again?
I'm 4.
He answered before drinking on his glass of milk.
I really think that this kid is your son, Jude.
All of the pictures from when he was at Archie's age resembled him. That's why it's really confusing for him right now, because he couldn't remember that he had an affair or something before. His mother also insisted that Archie really is his son, and she told him that he might had a one-night stand with a woman or whatsoever. But even though he tries so hard, he couldn't remember anything. But somewhere in his past, he had a problem with drinking. 5 years ago, he visited the company his father passed to him, and that's when he started to drink, and it became out of control. Every night, he will go and roam the city and would wake up in another place with girls. But this time, he could remember it. It became a hindrance to him and his job. That's why his mother decided that he needs to get away from Nye soon, and she made plans for his advance, learning in Oxford to get him away from his drinking problems. Since then, after Jude graduated, he never drank.
Maybe it's when you still have drinking problems?
Sophie asked again, still looking at Archie. Jude stayed silent and just looked at Archie without saying anything. Nevertheless, Jude thought through the whole thing, but still he got nothing. Now both him and his mother is more like bothered with the fact that Jude had a drinking issue, and this kid being his look-alike, they were confused. Sophie and Archie were still talking when Archie's phone rang, and he answered it in front of them. It was his mother calling him.
Mommy, Mommy,
he answered while scratching the back of his neck. Jude was surprised when he did that because he, too, does that every time.
Where are you? Why aren't you still back?
Archie's phone was on loudspeaker and everyone could hear them converse.
I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm with Uncle Jude and he'll take me back in a few minutes.
Jude, who's Jude?
Archie looked at Jude before he answered his mother.
He's my friend. I saw him on the street nearby and we had a talk, but I'll be back in a few minutes, Mommy. He'll take me back.
Is he one of your friends from Oxford?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, can I talk to your friend?
Archie looked at Jude. He was looking at him and he was just staring at him coldly.
I think that's not possible. He's a bit busy.
Both of them were still listening to their conversation. Sophie was really amazed on how professional Archie talks. Even though he struggles with his words sometimes, he is still good with his words.
He doesn't look like a 4-year-old, isn't he? He's like an old person trapped in a small boy's body,
she added while looking at Archie. Jude didn't answer his mom. He was just staring at the kid. He's a little bit annoyed by his appearance already, and he wanted him to go back to his mom, and speaking of, Jude felt something odd by his mother's voice. Her voice was familiar, and he was thinking, where did he heard it?
Goodbye, Mommy. I will be back soonest.
He dropped the call.
I'll drive you back,
Jude said after a long pause.
Okay.
Sophie looked at the boy.
You're going already. I still want to talk to you.
He needs to go back to his mommy, Mother. Didn't you hurt her? She's already worried.
Fine, but don't leave the little boy if his mother's still not there, okay? And besides, maybe you can remember something if you saw the mother.
Sophie mumbled the last part, but Jude still heard it.
There's nothing to remember, Mother.
Okay, just go and take care.
Sophie even put her hands up.
Goodbye, little man, till we meet again.
She told Archie and kissed him on the cheek.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Madame, and I am hoping to see you again as well.
He said with formality. Sophie giggled before he muffled his hair. She still wanted to talk more with him, but his mother was already looking for him. Sophie knew that she might not see him anymore, but still, she was still hoping to see him again someday. After Jude got his keys, he kissed his mother goodbye and got out of the villa. Archie bowed his head, showing respect to Sophie before he followed Jude to his car. Jude opened the door for him and helped him get to the passenger seat before he put some seatbelt on him. Then he went to the driver's side and got it to his Rolls-Royce, Archie's favorite car. Archie couldn't contain his excitement when Jude finally started the car. He clapped his hand and giggled loudly. Jude just shook his head and drove off. On their way, Archie dialed his mother's phone number.
Mommy, we're on our way already. Could you please pick me up at the lobby?
He asked after his mother answered the call.
Of course. I'll wait for you outside, okay?
Okay, Mommy. Thank you.
Archie answered before ending the call. Jude was quiet. He doesn't want to have a conversation to the kid while Archie keeps on glancing at him.
You can stay here if you want. That's my mommy over there.
Archie said, pointing at his mother at the entrance of the lobby after they arrived at the Luminous Corporation. Jude looked at the woman and couldn't help but to think who she really is because she was so familiar.
No, I will walk you to her. Stay there and I'll open your door.
Jude got out and went to Archie's side. He opened his door and took off his seatbelt before Archie finally gets got. Jude held his hand before they crossed the street.
Mommy, me.
Amelia looked at their direction and smiled.
Hey, how's your day out?
She asked before looking to Jude.
Thank you for looking out for Archie.
She bowed her head.
Goodbye, Mr. Jude. Thank you for taking me back to my mommy.
Jude nodded his head and waved his hand.
No problem.
Amelia smiled at him.
Thank you again. Sorry, but we have to head back.
Archie bowed his head before he followed his mother back to the company, and when they got in, Amelia asked him about his little trip.
I went to the ice cream shop, but there's a lot of people inside, so I went out to find another one. But when I was about to go there, I saw a familiar face.
Archie said he stuttered a little bit, but his words were clear to understand.
So I called him and we had a talk. I told him that I wanted to buy ice cream, but the ice cream shop that was nearby was cramped up with people, so he offered me to buy somewhere else.
Archie hated to lie, but this time he had to because it's for his mother.
Oh, that's so kind of him, but next time you get back to me, okay? No sidey trips. You have to tell me where you are going so that I wouldn't worry too much.
Okay, Mommy, I'm really sorry I didn't tell you earlier.
It's fine. There's always room for mistakes. Just be sure you won't do that again,
she said before kissing the top of Archie's head.
Yes, Mommy.
Archie smiled and hugged his mother. They went back to the office, and Nino was already there. She greeted Archie and went back to work. Archie went to the sofa as well and took out his crayons and drawing book before scribbling on it. Amelia started working too. She had a lot of things to do and meetings to attend for that day. After Jude arrived home, he was interrogated with his mother. He didn't even have the chance to sit down because he was bombarded with questions.
You saw the mother?
Yes.
And then, did you feel something, like a connection or whatsoever?
Mom, I didn't felt any connection from her. I even wanted to tell her not to let her son roam alone the streets, but I stopped myself because I don't want to meddle with their business.
He sighed. Sophie was dismayed by his answer. She sneered and shrugged her shoulders before she leaned on the sofa.
Try to think of it, Jude. 5 years ago, I sent you back to NIC for market research. What if you had an affair and had a child with her?
Jude fell silent. He was baffled at his mother's words, and it made him doubt.